Welcome to What the Frac.
We are your fractional team, and today we break down marketing trends, strategies, and tactics
in 30 minutes or less
so that you can do the fun stuff like be creative.
Tamara, we're back for another week.
We are back, and we have another incredible topic that we were discussing.
Have you ever...
Go ahead.
You what? I was going to say, have you been noticing lately the amount of content out there where you're like, that's AI?
Oh gosh, if I get another blog from interns, why?
Yes, I've actually
just take it out.
I literally saw a company the other day came to me, and like the consultant they worked with, their strategy was like clearly AI written. I've been working with certain companies that are selling packages to small businesses where it's like 4 content pieces a month, and it's clearly AI. And literally one of my clients, we're going through 250 blog posts right now because they were working with another company, and some of them are not even topics that make sense for their business. So we've been talking a lot about authenticity lately.
Yeah.
How does that work with AI?
You know what? That's the kind of the question of our time right now, right? Because like anyone who knows me knows I do love AI, right? I've got Perplexity, I've got ChatGPT, I'm going to get Claude pretty soon. Like I love it, but it's a tool to me. It's not the actual thing that does the work. This relationship is how do we come to a symbiotic relationship with AI? That's the question. I'm like,
I think that's why this is going to be, I'm glad you said that. Otherwise I'd have to kick you off the stage, because we have an amazing guest today. Her name is Sarah. I'm going to mess this up. Loughry. Let's see if I got it correct. And if you've ever felt like content strategy is just SEO word salad sprinkled with hashtags, today's episode is what will hopefully be your wake-up call. We're joined with Sarah today. She's the founder and CEO of M-Content Studio, a boutique agency that helps brands actually show up on search engines and in their industry. She and her team specialize in smart, strategic content that doesn't just rank, it resonates. And we were talking with her before we even pressed record here, and hearing the team she has behind her and their method and their mission is so exciting. Especially with AI completely reshaping the digital landscape. So I'm going to bring Sarah on, let her tell you her story, and let her give you some tips as to how to navigate this world of AI and authenticity. So hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. You said it right, by the way.
Hooray. Yes.
Loughry.
Everyone who's listened before knows that my biggest fear is being the person at graduation who has to like pronounce everyone's name. So happy by that. Actually.
No, that would be my misery. I would butcher every single one. It's terrible. Yeah.
So Sarah, tell us a little bit about, can you go into what we were talking about before we pressed record about your team and where you guys came from? Because you guys, although you're an SEO company, it sounds like you did not come from the love of just SEO.
No, actually kind of the opposite a little bit. So I'll take you back a little bit further, which was I was freelancing. I was working for an agency, an amazing agency with amazing leaders who taught me everything I know about SEO, honestly. But I was working with them, and I was doing some freelance side work, and somebody hired me to be an editor for them. That's like my bread and butter. I love editing things. I love like tearing it up and putting it all back together. But anyway, somebody hired me to do it, and they were like, hey, we just want to send you a test project, which is not abnormal. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So he sends it to me. It's a complete rewrite. The thing was terrible. There were this specific words, SEO, shoved in a million times, but not where it made any sense. I hated it. It took me an hour. I rewrote the entire thing. And he said, how long did this take you? And I said, oh, it took about an hour to do, but I rewrote a lot of it. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, in the future, ideally, it'd take you about 15 minutes to edit. And I was like, I don't know how I would edit this in 15 minutes. It was so bad. Like, and he's like, oh, it'll be fine for clients. And I'm like, interesting. That was the start of my company, and I didn't even know it. I was like, no, this can't be happening where, because content is so important for any business. And it could be whether you're doing a blog strategy or if you're doing landing pages, all of those things are really important. And so there are times where companies are looking for just content agencies. They're just trying to hire somebody to come in. And so this person was just spitting out so much content just with keywords shoved in it a million times, just to, churning them out constantly. And I was like, there is zero quality in any of this. And I can't deal with that with the quality of writing. That is probably the most important thing in my mind. And the SEO kind of comes after it. You can work in SEO. So that's kind of always been my mentality. And so I thought, there's got to be a company that can marry these two together, which is the quality content with the SEO. And no one that I had found to that point was doing that. And I was like, well, I'll just do it. So then I established M-Content Studio, which is really unfortunate considering everyone associates the M- with fake content now. And I'm like, go figure. Like, come on, guys.
Oh, man. I didn't even think of that. I literally just put out a bulletin in one of my companies being like, take the dashes out of when you're using AI, because it was getting to a point where it was like under my skin. I was like, I cannot read another update that has a dash associated with it.
Yes.
I didn't even think of that.
And if you use the M- the right way, it packs a punch. Like that's what it's meant to do, which is why I chose it for my business. I was like, this is perfect. But you're right. AI is like every other sentence is a dash. I'm like, guys, it's too much. But anyway, so I start my company, and the way that I set it up was I had the SEO knowledge, but when I started bringing people on, my team on, SEO is something that you can teach. That's something that you can learn to do. Writing is a little bit different, and creating quality content, that creative part, that's different. And so I hired writers first. Everyone that's on our team, they are a writer, and then they've learned the SEO part afterward. So that way we have our priorities right when we're creating content. And it just so happened, it's funny because before this, I mean, authenticity, of course, has always been important, but Google has really been putting a lot more focus into authenticity. So great for me. There's a lot of people that were coming to me when ChatGPT was really like coming on the market strong, and there were a lot of changes happening. Like, are you worried? Are you stressed? I'm like, no, because if anything, now authentic content is even more important than it was before. This just means that I'm more relevant than I was, which is, good for me. And don't get me wrong, ChatGPT should absolutely be used. It is a tool. You should know how to use it, but it shouldn't, to your point earlier, it should not do the work for you. It shouldn't do all the work. It should help you create, be more efficient at what you're doing.
Yeah. And we just said that. I literally said this to Sarah, Tamara, before we jumped on here, which was like, I think you made a good point. Google is making authenticity a big part of it. But if you take the like data points and the pure SEO piece out of it, as marketers, we're always talking about how do you build an emotional connection or resonate with your audience. And right now, authenticity is such a big part of that, of what the human experience wants. And so what I was joking about was that when ChatGPT came out and people were asking you, are you worried about your job? People were asking me if I was worried about it. And I said, I was like, absolutely not, because in 3 years, I will put all my money on the fact that we're going to be sitting here talking about trends, and we're going to be trying to figure out how these 3 companies actually are, doing what they're doing and having such a big community and resonating. And we're going to be talking about, they're actually writing their own thought leadership, right? They're actually writing their own content, and they're not using AI in that way, because everything's going to sound the tone's going to be the same. Everything's going to sound like a copy and paste of each other. No company's going to sound unique anymore. Like it's going to be, and we're already seeing it. And Tamara, you alluded to that earlier when we first introed this, is that everyone's already seeing this.
Well, yeah. And like, I don't want to come down on AI, right? Because like, I am a huge proponent of AI. I use it. I put most of my stuff in ChatGPT to check my spelling, my grammar, right? Touch it up.
I mean, I do too.
It's expanded my capacity to work quickly, right? And I'm a writer by trade, right? Like I was in the news business. I wrote every day, quickly. And now I write more my thoughts, get it all down. This is how I want it to be, and then I put it in there for it to just finish it for me. Be that last copy editor for me to get it done so that I don't have to, when I was writing my own stuff, I mean, I would read it out loud 3 times going through, and that takes so much time. So AI has become a great tool for me to go, okay, I've got all my thoughts down. I've got this. I've got basically it 90% there. Put it in, get it done. If I do want some keywords, I do keywords in there. So I know, but I know the pitfalls of it, right? I understand that could also be diminishing some of my returns. However, I've said for myself at this moment, my time is worth that small, compromise. But it shouldn't be totally offloaded to AI. Like that's where you can spot it, in an instant. I get like a report, I get a first draft of a marketing plan, and it's got those lines in it that you can tell just came from ChatGPT, and I don't read it. I just toss it to the side because I'm like, I could have gotten that, whatever. There's nothing in here that I don't know. I don't have a question.
Yes.
I guess I'm my soapbox. Soapbox now. And
no,
so,
I think it's a really good point that you make too, is because you can also call it out and know when people are doing that. When I think of it in that, first of all, the thing about the big mistake that people make, one is, you're right, throwing a prompt in there and then just copy pasting it over and taking no time at all to read through. One, it doesn't have to pull accurate information. Remember, the internet is filled with misinformation, filled with it. So you have to still do your due diligence when you're doing this. So there are even people now that are working with my company and saying, hey, use ChatGPT if you want. Like, we don't care as long as, it reads as authentic. And the reality is, anytime I've done that, where I'm like, yeah, I'll shortcut it, because I have, sometimes that works, or I'll use it to brainstorm at the beginning. The thing is, when it comes down to it, I spend almost as much time editing that I would and checking sources, getting the right sources, picking them out. Because that's the thing. I want it to be very specific. I don't want you to just pull from anywhere. I want you to pull from these 3 places. And this is why. Giving it all the prompts to create something like that. That's the thing. You can almost write it in the same amount of time. So if you do want to use it and you need to use it to write, just do your due diligence. Give it the prompts that you need for it to use. So the actual, like I said, sources that you want, and then take out those things like the M dash to make it obvious, or like you're right, the line in the very beginning. I'll use it as a perfect example. When I was a teenager, my mom left town and I would have parties because, whatever. And I was really good at hiding it though. I would even take the trash afterward and throw it away in a dumpster 3 miles away. Like, she would have never known in a million years. So, once like 10 years goes by and I'm like, okay, I'm safe. It's been 10 years. So I feel like I can tell her. My mom's like my best friend. So I'm like, I feel like I can tell her now, and like, I can't get in trouble for it. So I told her, and she's like, oh, I knew you had parties. I was like, you did? And she's like, yeah, but you always like hid the evidence. So I figured, I don't know, house is fine, everything's fine, why say anything? The point is, hide the evidence that you're using it. Take out the lines, take out the M dashes, take out the terrible, make sure that every section is valuable, that type of thing. It's not, ChatGPT might be in 5 years a level where you can throw something into it and it knows your mind by then, so it can write it for you. We're not there yet. I don't know that we'll ever be there, but we're definitely not there right now.
Well, and I think it's also a like risk versus reward thing, right? So like if we're talking about SEO for your company, for your business's website that you're going to be using to hope that you're bringing in leads and people are finding you, then maybe you should be adding a little bit more thought and investment into it. If you're using it to say, okay, we have this long piece of content and now I just really need some social posts for it for whatever reason, maybe it's a good option to like keep your time from, having to write these social posts And I think that it really just comes down to who you are and what those pieces is that you're looking at. So I guess where I want to go with this, and I'm going to, Tamara, don't get mad at me. I'm going to, let's say, put AI aside on this situation. You could go have a drink, a cup of coffee, and come back. No, I'm joking. But let's talk about content in general. So I think a lot of small business owners are really hesitant to bringing in a writer to specifically work on content. And I think that it's one of those things where they feel that anyone can do it, especially if I'm hiring you for marketing. And most marketers, yes, they can pull out great pieces or maybe do some of the content, but like to rewrite an entire website to get your voice and your feel and your, messaging correct is sometimes a little bit over and beyond the skill set. So why should small business owners, why should any business owner be considering bringing a writer in, someone who is really skilled in writing to build their content and work with their marketers?
That's a really good question. Because you're right. It's funny. A lot of businesses are hesitant, especially small, because small business, likely if you're working with a small business or you are a small business, you're the founder, the CEO, the operation, you're doing all the jobs and you're super passionate about whatever it is because this is your baby. This is the business. I mean, I'm the same. And so those people are even more hesitant to bring somebody in because they don't think that the person will have the brand, the voice, anything like that. The problem is, again, it's the specialization. So whereas I wouldn't probably start making, I'm trying to think of something creative right now that I could be making, or, hair buns or something, whereas I wouldn't go out and do that because that's not what I specialize in. I would hire somebody else to do that for me because I have the idea of it, but I can't actually do it. That's kind of the view of writing for someone, because when you hire a copywriter, copywriters aren't just skilled in creativity, the words of like getting somebody. They also have other things in mind, like conversion. They're thinking about your audience. They're thinking about Google. They should be thinking about SEO, Google. They should now be thinking about other things like,
Isn't it AEO? Isn't that now what it's called?
Yes, it is. And I'm trying really hard, but
some
yes.
other acronym that.
But even AI and some of these other, I know we were staying away from that, but that's another thing to keep in mind. They're going to be skilled in more than just creating the words. They should have the technical part behind them. That is something I recommend. There are a lot of writers out there and they're skilled and they write beautifully. If you're a small business or a business in general that's hiring someone to come in for your website specifically, my recommendation is to hire somebody with the technical knowledge as well, because then you're going to be doing double the work. So you're going to be having them come in, write something that you love, and then you're going to be hiring somebody else to make it so that, it speaks to your audience. It's because as a writer also, and you probably know this because you're in web development, as a writer also, you are kind of naturally in UX because you're keeping while you're writing a headline, you're focusing on above the fold. So that's a big part of it. How many CTAs are up there? It should really only be one. And then you're talking about right below the fold. Then you're talking about how many CTAs are below. Where are you sending them? I mean, all of these things kind of come into play. And so a skilled copywriter will know the type of verbiage to put where. Also, value adds and testimonials, like they should be able to do a semi layout for you as to what you should be putting where in order to convert and to keep people on the page for long enough. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
that was great. And so all my head went to was, if I'm a small business owner, how do I guarantee that then if I'm bringing in a writer, they're not just using ChatGPT? And, because there are so many agencies that are doing that. And I know you're not, but like, that's, I think, the big problem and maybe the huge hesitancy when they bring in an agency or they bring in someone to do this, because they're going to be spending more money. And then they think, well, is this person just doing something that I could be doing, leveraging ChatGPT?
Here's what I have to say. I would worry if you're a small business owner in general and you're thinking about hiring someone and you're worried. I'd worry less about the tools that they're using and more about what they've given to you, what their deliverable is. If it gets to you and it's in front of you and they say, they've given you like your full Google Doc with your new fresh web copy and it's your voice. It resonates. You feel it. They explain it. You can tell that it's, it's optimized. And what I mean by that is I explain to people that the hero section of their website, that top part, right, when you go to it, and you and I have even talked about this before, but that top part when they go to it, that is your prime real estate on any website. That's the part right there. You have to hook the person because you have to get them to either hit the CTA right away, which I don't know that they'll do that, or scroll down, or you have to entice Google. So you have to speak to your core audience and Google at the same time. That part at the top is key. And if they can nail the copywriter, the person you've hired, if they can nail that part and it's in your brand voice and it's optimized, then I would think that they probably are in tune with you enough that they can handle the rest of it as well. Those are the things that I would definitely look for. They could use ChatGPT as a way to get started, as a brainstorm. They could have it write it and then edit the whole thing on the back end because it doesn't match. The thing that you don't have to worry about is ChatGPT is really not good at SEO yet. It really doesn't understand SEO. I've actually tried to help me with keyword research, help, if I'm working with a client, I put as much information as I can. And I'm like, hey, give me all these keywords. I want them to be low difficulty. I want you to give me some that are top of funnel, some that are bottom of funnel. I want you to do, it really sucks at it. It can't deliver. So ChatGPT is not going to do the SEO work that needs to get done for it. And if you think about it too, it wouldn't, because Google is trying to put things in place to combat ChatGPT. And there are rumors that ChatGPT is going to be building and integrating with Bing. So there's a lot of competition happening. So of course, ChatGPT wouldn't be fully up on SEO yet. So the key things I would look for, don't worry about the tools that are being used. Be concerned if it resonates with your audience. The end product is what you need to be concerned about. And don't trust ChatGPT for SEO at all. So if the person gives you something, it's not optimized and they say that it is, they could have used ChatGPT and it just gave them the wrong answer.
That's really interesting. So,
sorry, Tamara.
Oh, that's fine. I was going to say one thing that I have really used when working with people outside of my team or even my team members to know if they've spent the quality time to produce the product is I make them give me the high points by memory, not looking at the paper or not looking at the report that they've given me or what they've written. Because I would expect when I write things, I know what's in there almost line by line, right? And so if someone stumbles through it, then I know that they weren't paying attention to it, that they didn't either fully write it or they didn't put the time in that they needed to. So that's a trick that I use to make sure that whoever's producing it really was invested in it.
Yeah.
And also ChatGPT, unless you request it, doesn't provide links to sources. It'll just say anything. And then you're like, well, wait, can you give me the source on that? Where is that? Where are you getting that from? And then it has to give you a source. So if you're getting something that's maybe not web copy, but if you're getting a blog or landing page or something that's citing some hard facts and it's not sourced, that's probably written by AI because AI is not giving it, or it could be random rather than something.
Which is also a great tip. If you are going to use AI in any case form, you can actually ask it to source everything. And I found that when you ask that, it actually is a little bit more accurate because I've done a few tests where I'll ask it without the sourcing and then say, is this actually fact? And it'll come back and say, no, I made it up or whatever. And I'll be like, okay, can you rewrite it and source your put your sources, and it'll actually come back with a better piece. So you can, when you're using things like AI, you can, even when you're using it for copy editing, I'll actually have it show me what it takes out and what it changes. Show me your work so that I know what it's changing, because sometimes you get it back and you're like, I'm not even sure what exactly it changed.
Yes.
So this is a great tip for that. And then the other thing that we've been doing a lot of, which is, on the other side of AI, which is not using it to write or whatnot. People are using ChatGPT, Claude, all of these as almost search engines now. And so when you're thinking about SEO, we're not just thinking about Google anymore. And you brought up a really good point, which is that ChatGPT pulls from Bing. Most other AIs pull from Google. And so if you optimize for those AI overviews, if you're optimizing for AI to pull your data, you will actually start using it as a search engine. So one of our clients has seen an uptick in lead generation from ChatGPT because we optimized for AI overviews on Bing. And
that's amazing.
Yes. So like if you're thinking, once
this.
again, one of the things that I always try to challenge, and we've done this on, Tamara and I have both challenged all of our viewers, is like, we could talk about the normal topics around AI, don't use it for web copy, don't use it for blogs, like whatever, but how AI is here to stay. How can we use it in a way that people aren't thinking about already?
Yeah, so that's a really good question too. And unfortunately, a big part of that, and probably other SEOs that would listen are like cringy, but a big part of that is, I would say maybe 40% is like, we don't know yet. We're still kind of in the like, how is this changing things? One thing we do know is that click-through rates are plummeting because AI is giving people the answer before they actually need to click on anything. And the end game for that, I mean, what the goal for Google is that they want to become kind of a more all-inclusive experience for people. They're saying, which I think the reality is it's capitalism. They just want to make more money. But like what they're saying is like they are really user-centric. They want their user to get everything they possibly need on their page without having to click anything. And so this is going to shift a lot for e-commerce companies, because when people go to buy something, supposedly what's been promised is that they'll just be able to purchase it right from Google results rather than actually having to go to the website. However, B2B businesses, like that still is going to be open-ended because people are going to have to go to the website. So for me, I'm thinking, and it has not been discussed wholly, but like for me, it is focusing more on bottom of funnel content. Because the problem is if you're top of funnel and you're just trying to brand yourself, the click-through rates are going down. People are asking those same basic questions that you would normally want to put there, and they're not clicking on anything afterward. They're just getting the answer from Google and moving on. So it's almost wasted content. Whereas if you go bottom of funnel, these are people that are already right there getting ready to purchase, or they know they're going to purchase, or they're in the middle of it. So even if they get the AI response, they're going to probably be more likely to click on something because they want to go deeper and expand a little bit more. So that's one thing to do. Other things with your content that you can do, from what we've heard, and I've seen it to be true too, if you put like a bulleted list, very short statistics proving your point within your content that you're creating, maybe at the top, like a key takeaway section or something like that. This has been known for a while to be picked up on Google a lot better. Like I've had several go to page 1 and position 1 by just providing like a definition at the very top, because Google's like, oh, they have it, and they put it right up there, right? But another thing is that apparently bots or AI like ChatGPT likes to pull these like quick statistics to give to people. So if you start working that into your content, you're going to be likely to be picked up on that. So that's like one really easy thing that you can start doing that will hopefully help you. The other thing is, and this kind of goes less ChatGPT. Oh, no. Well, I want to give you one more technical one before. The other one is the signature. So bylines. I've always been a fan. I don't know how you guys feel. Bylines to me, super important because again, it's more authentic. I hate when companies create content and it's just like this open-ended thing and you don't know who wrote it and it's just from this like ambiguous person. I'm like, no. Put who it's from. Like, is it the CEO? Is it your marketing specialist? Who wrote it? And so this is becoming even more important because what Google is doing is going deeper, which is actually kind of like creepy if I'm being honest. But it's all about thought leadership. It's all about authenticity. And so if you have somebody on the byline of your site that says, okay, Sarah Loughry wrote this. Sarah Loughry is a content strategist and blah, blah, blah. Google will actually go into the link and look at my digital profile and see if that is legitimate or not. And if it is legitimate, you're going to get extra bonus points there. And then that's going to help with your SEO. And that's also going to help with the ChatGPTs. You're going to be more of a thought leader in that sense. So if you do not currently have a byline on your, people ghost write all the time. It's okay to say that you wrote it if you have a writer writing it. That happens. You really need to have a byline, and it really needs to be applicable to what you're doing. That's super important. But I did want to go on another way that's not AI for authenticity, but we can talk about that in a minute if you want.
I think those are incredible quick tips that people can just
good
insert now, right?
Yeah, they're easy. They're easy wins.
Yeah, those are the tips of the day here, because I mean, those are things that people can leave right now, put it in, and possibly even, I mean, they're not the normal regurgitated listicle that ChatGPT is going to give us when we say, how do I fix my SEO?
Right. No, but I was just reading about the drop in click-through rates, like dramatic. I think in the
since last year.
Yes.
Insane. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so how is a new brand supposed to break through in that case? Like, that's really challenging.
I also think though that this, which I've always been, I always question people that give you an absolute for marketing, who say like, this is the only formula for marketing for your, business. I'm like, no, every business, everything for marketing is contextual. It depends on the market, depends on what space you're in. The person, I'm working with someone right now who's in e-commerce, but she's in the infertility space. And so she's selling a product, and I mean, it's a fertility product. So am I going to tell her, oh, you shouldn't really create content as much anymore because Google's looking at it? No, she should absolutely be creating content now because she wants to talk to the space. So whereas somebody else selling bracelets, maybe you don't need to put all of your effort into creating a, listicle every month of like 5 best bracelets to buy. So it really is contextual. It depends. I do think that some of these changes though make it even more important to diversify your investment in marketing. So whereas before you're like, oh, all organic all the way, which I think is important, I think start looking at social. I think start looking at email. I think start looking at paid, some of these other ways too, so that you're well-rounded. And so when some of these changes happen, you're not getting gutted. Because I'll tell you, in addition to the click-through rate plummeting, which is a bummer, the other thing is that anybody in the food space and anyone in the travel space specifically are completely screwed. I mean, they got screwed in the last year from SEO. They got completely gutted because when Google was doing this like massive, we're going to clean up all the inauthentic stuff, their algorithm got trapped in this travel food blogger space and just took out tons of businesses and ruined their organic. So the point is, I think just continuing, SEO is super important. It's going to continue to be important, but also don't put all your eggs in one basket either. Start looking at these other ways to continue connecting with your audience and then rounding out your brand. That makes sense.
The thing that the thing about when you said that the click-through rates are plummeting, the first thing I thought of was that change is happening, right? Like I'm thinking of even just the companies who have been able to play the SEO game. Their whole business comes from the SEO game, even ads and all of that. Their whole marketing plan has been that for years and years and years. And they've been able to, even through some changes in the algorithm, they've been able to play the game. This is something that is not an if, it is a when, because if you think of Google and any of these platforms, when we talk about social media, when we talk about, the difference between Facebook and TikTok and what content works better on both, you have to think of them as businesses. Once again, they are businesses. What do they want to do? They want to make money. If people are not clicking through links, Google is going to be losing lots of revenue, which means that, and if AI is going to come in and make search results, not relevant to the search you're trying to find. Like that's the whole business model behind Google. They've always been, when SEO started, you can, the big issue was that you can literally put a page up, put a bunch of keywords in there. You could have a porn site and be first on the page for children's, books, right? And so Google had to take that time and say, okay, how do we fix the algorithm to avoid that, so that when you type in children's, picture books, you don't get something that's not relevant, right?
Right.
And so their whole business model is making sure you get relevant information as quickly as possible, and then they make money off of that. And for so long, they had the market cornered on this SEO piece, and now
They were over 90% market share.
Yeah,
exactly. They didn't have to change much. And so now AI comes in and is making the search results less relevant, and people aren't clicking, which means they're not making as much money. So something is going to change, because Google's going to figure out how to continue making money and how to make those search results more relevant. And it's going to be a big change. So if you are sitting there on this gold mine of like, SEO's always been our thing and we know how to do it, get ready. Get ready, because if you wait until it changes, you are going to be screwed.
Yeah. Start making those little changes now. That's a big thing. And also, again, when I talk about diversifying, like thinking of new ways, think out of the box, Reddit. Reddit is a strategy that a lot of SEOs are pushing out right now. And that's because Google has invested in Reddit, which is why right now, I'm sure most of us are annoyed when you Google, like, where should I go to the beach? Instead of like an amazing travel blogger that you followed forever, now you get a Reddit forum from 2004. And you're like, what even is this? That's because Google is investing in Reddit. Google literally pays Reddit so that Reddit opens up and provides Google full indexing access to everything. And so a lot of people now are using that to their benefit, which highly recommend going in and actually starting to participate. The caveat to you doing that, the good part of it is, gives you an opportunity to be super authentic, gives you an opportunity to really establish yourself as a thought leader. The caveat to that is you cannot be promotional. So this isn't a long game. It's much like anything else when it comes to SEO. You can't start posting on Reddit just really authentic responses to people and go back and forth, and then at the bottom put, oh yeah, and by the way, buy my product. That's not how that works. You actually have to just talk to people and give advice based on your experience, and eventually it will lead back to SEO. So that's something to really start thinking about now.
Yeah, this
might be the most valuable episode we've had, because Tamara, follow the money. I think when people are like, SEO is so hard, social media doesn't make sense, I don't get the algorithm, it's like, they're a business. Follow the money. If they invest in Reddit, they are going to push Reddit. If Instagram is investing in Reels, they're going to give you more push if you work on Reels. This is not that hard, guys.
The one thing that everyone needs to know, though, with SEO is it is a long game. Like, if you're a business owner and you think that the results are happening next month, and because you started SEO this month, that is just not the case. You have to invest. You have to do it. And, kind of my belief with everything is, if you're going to do it, go all in. Right? Don't dip your toe in, because then you're just going to get frustrated in the middle, especially because it is such a long game. You're going to get frustrated that I'm not getting the results, but I'm only doing one blog a week, and I'm not really paying attention, and I'm not, fostering the connections or the leads. You have, if you're going to do SEO, do it right, invest, get a team. Don't just go into ChatGPT, ask for 100 blog ideas, type it out, and then post one a day.
Do not do that.
That is not going to get your results. So I think that, just like Nicole said, this has been such a valuable episode, such a valuable live. But if someone is going to take this and actually put into action, do it and do it right. Don't just take away that, I need more SEO because that's having results. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sarah, what should people, Tamara just brought up a really good point about how it is a longer game. It is something that, if I go out tomorrow and hire an SEO company, generally it's fairly expensive. There's a little bit of investment, there's time in it. What are the things that someone should be looking for as clues that it's either working or not?
It depends. It's so hard to say that. It's so hard to say that because, again, it's contextual. It depends on the industry they're in and their goals. I would say that if you start working with someone, or you've made all these changes and stuff is happening, that within 3 to 6 months, you should be ranking for something. You should be ranking in some way on Google. That's probably the number one way that you know that you're kind of heading in the right direction. If you expect to get to 3 months, it's happened. I mean, I've had unicorns before, and I've definitely patted myself on the back when I can get someone on page 1 in a couple of months. But I mean, a lot of the average is like 10 months before you can like really start getting them ranking. And so that's what we mean by long game. So if you can start building keywords and then you start getting even a little bit of traffic. So we're talking, you start building like 4 or 5 keywords, and then it goes to 10, and then it's on a constant upward trajectory. You're doing something right. That's excellent, because what happens is once Google starts indexing your site and you start ranking for keywords, often it's the snowball effect. So if you wrote a blog and you're targeting one main keyword on that blog, what will eventually happen if you've done your web copy right and you've set the foundation, everything else is solid, what will happen is that same blog that you went for one main keyword will end up ranking for 300 keywords. And it's because Google is like, oh, wait, well, if you wrote about that, then this also is connected to that, which means this is connected to that. And then it starts following all of your interlinking that you've done correctly. And so it links from one blog to the other. And now it's indexing a lot faster. So keep in mind, too, every website has a time allotment. So Google, it's a crawl budget. So Google doesn't just spend the same amount of time on every site that they go to. There's a very specific budget. And so when you run out of your budget, like it's gone. So that's why you have to try to do these interlinkings and different things on your site so that you're maximizing that tiny budget that you have.
Wow.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, we could be here all day long talking about this.
I have so many questions.
I love nerding out. This is great. Yeah.
But if people want to learn more and want to work with you, how do they get in touch?
They can either go to my website, m-contentstudio.com, or you can email me directly, which I love, which is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, at m-contentstudio.com.
Yes. I will make sure that all of that is in the summary. But if you guys have not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe today. We have a newsletter you can sign up for. We are on anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on all the social medias. Come join our community of business owners looking to grow, looking to think like fractional executives, looking to think more strategically and learn from experts just like Sarah here. Because today was, I mean, if you haven't taken away 10 things you can be doing today to help your SEO, then you were not listening. So join us next week for another amazing expert. And Tamara, happy marketing.
Happy marketing. Happy building your businesses. And see you next week. Thank you, Sarah.
Bye.